Hello friends! Welcome back to our channel. This is your favorite cosplay tita, Yuta Chibana, aka Harukasama. Hello, hello, hello! If you're new to this channel, I am a cosplayer based in Japan. I have been doing this since 2009. Yes, I am old. But if you like cosplay tips, stories, and everything in between, then subscribe to our channel. For today's video, we will be talking about working with EVA foam or rubber sheet, the basics, everything that you need to know, as well as tools to get you started. Just a disclaimer, I am not claiming to be an expert. I have friends that are more adept at working with EVA foam and rubber sheet and crafting, but I do have enough knowledge and experience to be able to make the cosplay props and stuff that I need. And hopefully this video helps newbies out there with their rubber and EVA foam crafting journey. EVA stands for ethylene vinyl acetate. Did I say that correctly? Ethylene vinyl acetate. And if you didn't know, I also didn't know, but through my research, I found out that although in the Philippines, this material is more commonly known as rubber sheet, it's actually plastic with very rubber-like properties. Yee, you didn't know that. Bet you didn't know that. EVA foam is lightweight, it's cheap, and very easy to work with. So very great, very nice, especially if you're interested in it for making stuff for your cosplay. It is commonly found in a lot of Southeast Asian countries like the Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. So you will see a lot of cosplayers from those countries really utilizing and maximizing the use of EVA foam. Black is the most common color for EVA foam, but it also comes in other colors like beige, white, gray, and other colors. I think in European countries, you can determine the density or the sturdiness of the EVA foam based on the color. Black is common and gray is the sturdy, higher density type of EVA foam that they have over there. Colored EVA foam is nice to look at, but honestly, since you're gonna be painting the EVA foam anyway, it doesn't really make much of a difference. So, just go with black. EVA foam comes in different thicknesses and qualities. This is just my personal observation. But the EVA foam that I used when I was in the Philippines, they're generally cheaper, but the quality is only meh. There are some parts with damages, holes, dents, or some parts are thinner or thicker. They're not uniform all throughout. The EVA foam that I found in Japan, they're generally cleaner and much nicer quality overall. But also, it also means that it's more expensive. As I mentioned earlier, EVA foam comes in different thicknesses that are usually measured in millimeters. So 2 millimeters is great for detailing because it's very thin and paper-like. So it's good for putting details and designs over a base. 4 to 5 millimeters are sturdier and generally better for stuff that you would be putting near your body, like body armor. Anything above 5 millimeters, I think, is great for making weapons and other props. But keep in mind, although there are different thicknesses, some over 10 millimeters, you can also get foam blocks. Whatever thickness of foam that you get, if you're going to be making something long and hard or big, you still have to put something in between to stabilize it. Where can you get EVA foam? In the Philippines, at least, you can get them through shoe supply stores like Ping Ping's or Joaquin's or places in Marikina. Thanks to the advances in modern day technology, these places now have FB pages where you can order directly through them. You don't even have to go out of your house. You can also order through Shopee and have them delivered directly to your doorstep. Ping Ping, Walk-ins, Marikina, Shopee, FB pages, you can get EVA foam through there. I don't know where you are in the world, but alternatives to EVA foam, I've seen European and American cosplayers use yoga mats or those floor puzzle thingies like these. Before, from what I remember, you can also get them through bookstores like National Bookstore, places that sell stationery or craft stores. They're usually in the scrapbooking area and they're called craft foam. But they're usually 2 millimeters thick and they come in a variety pack with different colors. In Japan, EVA foam or rubber sheet, the most similar or almost the same thing that they have here is called a cosplay board, but Japanese pronunciation, cosplay bodo or rayon bodo. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these words, but I'm trying my best. You can get them in Tokyo Hands or in places that sell cosplay items like Animate or K-Books. You can also get them in small quantities, usually in A4 size, through Daiso and other Hyakuen shops. What do you use to stick EVA foam and rubber sheet together? In the Philippines, we like to use something called Greco 888, Greco 8888, or just Greco. It's basically super glue, mighty bun in a larger container. But you can use any cyanoacrylic acetate adhesive. I totally butchered that. Let's try it again. Cyanoacrylate adhesive. Cyanoacrylate adhesive. I hope I got that. So you can use super glue. Americans, Europeans, in other places, they like to use contact cement, also known as rugby in the Philippines. Those are great options. But if you're in a pinch, you can use hot glue gun, but I do not recommend it as it is not as strong. When you do use a glue gun, it's not as clean. But if you are totally in a pinch and there's nothing else to use, then if with a little bit of patience and a lot of pushing and waiting for it to harden, you can use a hot glue gun. But contact cement and any super glue thingy is better. What can you use to paint your EVA foam? I highly recommend acrylic paint or spray paint. Those are very easy to work with. I see this question pop up a lot. Poster paint is a no-no. Poster paint is generally for paper and making posters, not EVA foam. So don't use that. Acrylic paint is very versatile and you can mix colors, so that's great. And when you do get the funds, if you have enough money and you've saved enough, maybe you can buy yourself an airbrush thingy to make everything easier. But if you're a baby cosplayer who's just starting out, don't invest in anything too expensive just yet. Just experiment first, and when you get the feel of it and you feel like this is something that you're gonna be doing a lot for a long time, then go get yourself some nicer items. An alternative to painting is wrapping your foam stuff with stretchy or vinyl fabric. That is a very popular method here in Japan. But that's a different topic for a different video. If you want me to cover that topic, do comment down below and let me know if you want to learn how to wrap fabric or vinyl to on your props. Ano ba yan? Gutom na ako. So, what are the tools that you need when working with EVA foam? First of all, cutting implements, cutting tools like box cutters, sharp scissors, and X-Acto knife. You would need them in different sizes. I recommend having a small cutter for doing detailing and a bigger one for making and cutting out the base. A scissor is good for cutting out the excess. X-Acto knife for even smaller details. I also recommend that you have spare blades handy or a sharpener, something to sharpen up the blade. It's easier to cut the EVA foam when your blade is sharp. It makes it everything nicer and cleaner, and you will thank yourself later when you're sticking it together, because when the blade is dull, there's gonna be little bits on the edges and you don't want that. Also, when choosing a cutter, choose something with a nice grip, something that is comfortable in your hand, because you're working with something sharp. You don't want to accidentally slip and hurt yourself. So get something that is, something suited or feels comfortable when you hold it. You will also need a self-healing cutting board. The bigger the better. A tip from me, you need to wash and clean your cutting board with warm water every now and then so that it continues to keep its self-healing properties. A cutting board is especially important because you don't want to damage your table or any of the surface that you are working on. Rubber sheet commonly comes in the color black, right? A silver gel pen is useful for writing or marking or drawing anything on top of it. Also, I really like silver gel pens because it's easier to see the marks because it's silver, it stands out against the black, and it doesn't bleed through when you paint it later on. Lots of large scrap paper. So, since moving to Japan, I've used paper patterns a lot because the EVA foam here is very expensive, and even if I do get the cheaper EVA foam, I still don't want to waste material. So I would rather draw my patterns on scrap pieces of paper and improve them. And then when I get the pattern that I like, I then transfer them on to the EVA foam. So paper is great for making patterns and not wasting the material. I highly recommend using calendar paper because they're not as thin, they're sturdier, and they're larger and mas tipid pa. EVA foam is a porous material, meaning that if you paint it, the paint is most likely going to be absorbed into the material. Sometimes it might even completely disappear. So you need to prime your items before you paint them. Most Americans and Europeans like to use Plastidip or gesso. In the Philippines, we like to use acrylic emulsion. You can get those in any hardware store or DIY centers. You can also get them in the local hardware stores. You can buy them tingi-tingi by the litro, by the can. Ano bang English nun? Tingi-tingi. Anyway, I feel like Plastidip and gesso is nice, but they're a bit expensive for me. So I like to use wood glue mixed with equal parts water. Just mix them together and prime your stuff with acrylic, with emulsion, gesso, Plastidip, or that wood glue water solution. So if you're gonna be using acrylic emulsion or my wood glue water technique, best to use nylon brushes because nylon brushes, they leave less brush strokes. But if you really don't want any brush strokes to be seen, I recommend using tutomate. I don't know what these are called, but these brush thingies with a handle, I like to use these. They're very handy. So prime your items with minimum of 5 coats. Let them dry completely. 30 minutes to 1 hour between coats. Usually, I like to watch an anime one episode, any series one episode, and then come back, full layer, watch again, and then until it's all done. Sandpaper in different grits is also handy because although you can be very careful when cutting your rubber sheet, sometimes you will mess up and there's something that you need to clean up, especially when you make a mistake in putting together your items. So it's good to have sandpaper to clean the edges and just carve and clean them out. Sometimes mistakes are inevitable. That's how you learn. But when your prop or whatever you're working on gets a gap or nagkaroon ng butas or there's a small seam that isn't sticking quite well, you can use wood putty if the prop that you're working on needs to be sturdy or stiff. But if it needs to be flexible, you can use clay foam to fill in those gaps. This is another common question that comes up when working with foam props. Do you need a Dremel? Personally, I have a Dremel but I rarely use it. It has lots of useful drills and bits, but Dremel is mostly gonna be useful with the sanding bit. But if you're just a baby cosplayer and Dremels are expensive, you don't need it. You can just, it might take longer, but you can use a sandpaper to sand everything down. You just need a little bit more patience, but it will eventually do the same thing. I do recommend that when you saved up enough, get yourself a heat gun, because heat gun is great for heat sealing the prop, making the pores smaller so it's easier to paint and you don't have to do as much layers of primer. Also, the heat gun is great for shaping the material because, you know, diba, EVA foam comes in sheets or blocks, so it's mostly flat. But if you want to make different shapes, you can use heat to form it into something else. My favorite tool for adding details and adding depth to foam props is the soldering iron or a wood burner. But it's kind of dangerous because one, it's hot, plus when you burn the EVA foam, it emits fumes that are very toxic. But with enough precaution, using a soldering iron on your foam items can add a lot of texture and detail to anything that you're working on. Rulers are also very important, especially if you want to have straight lines, keep everything nice and straight for your props. I do recommend that instead of getting plastic or wooden rulers, get metal rulers, because using plastic, sometimes you can't help but shave off some parts of the ruler, and you don't want to have bumpy rulers. Kaya ka nga gumamit ng ruler, di ba? Because you want everything to be straight. So, if you don't want to risk shaving off the ruler, invest in a long metal ruler. Optional, but highly recommend, get yourself a safety mask. Something like this with a filter for particles and toxic fumes. So I'm not really sure, but in my younger days, I just didn't do or have any precautions when painting or working with EVA foam. I think I've inhaled a lot of paint from spray paints and the fumes when sometimes the Shano action, the Greco, the super glue would sizzle, and I inhaled a lot of those. When working with EVA foam is not actually that toxic. It's not good for the environment either. But anyway, the things that you need to work with it are kind of hazardous and have toxic fumes. So it's good to have something like a mask so that you don't inhale all the dust when you're sanding, all the fumes when you're painting, and, you know, when you're sticking things. So again, I'm not sure if those contributed to my health issues now, but when I was younger, I didn't have a mask. I just worked on it with my face so close. And now I'm paying for it. I have a lot of health issues connected to my breathing and my lungs. If you don't want to pay for it in the future, take care of your body. Your future self will thank you. So, get yourself a mask and be safe. This is just a tip from me. The EVA foam that I got when I was in the Philippines, they're usually sold in by the meter, or as my friend Eka told me, they're sold by the liso. I feel like my Filipino card is gonna be revoked because I didn't know this word before yesterday. So you can get EVA foam by the roll or liso nga. So most places they fold the EVA foam for easier transport and easier delivery. But they're generally very dirty and dusty. And when you're working with EVA foam, you're gonna be making patterns, drawing on it, cutting it, and you're gonna be handling it a lot. And if you're like me, you're gonna be very, very close to it, and you're gonna be sneezing a lot. So before working with your EVA foam, I recommend that you wash it first. Just hose it down with water and hang it out into the sun for like a day or two until it's completely dry, and it would make everything a lot easier and a less hassle. You won't be sneezing as much when you're working with it na. Is that it? I guess that's it. So anyway, that's it for today's video. If you have any questions, do not be afraid to reach out to me. You can comment down in the comment section, or you can reach out to me through direct message, PM, DM, what do you call that? Basta yun, you can reach out to me through my social media accounts listed in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed today's video and it encourages you to finally start on your foam crafting journey. So, ayun, not only for crafting questions, any cosplay related questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in our next video. Oh, and if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe, share, version in the channel. Thank you and goodbye!